Well, let me just begin and thank you, Michael. I thought Don's been a patient of mine for a few years, but obviously Don is just an exceptional individual who has an amazing story to tell with regards to insulin. We know it's the 100-year anniversary of the discovery of insulin by Banting and Best at the University of Toronto, 1921. And we originally had set for ACRP to be in Toronto this year, and we're sorry that we can't be there. So we're doing this virtually. But I thought Don's story would be a fantastic story to tell how insulin had the impact to so many people's lives and the benefit to society. It's an inspiring story, especially for those who might have recently been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes or have family members who have, to say, look, you can make of it what you want, but if you're willing to put the effort into it, you can have a very successful life and a very happy life.
Well, first of all, my name's Don Martin, and I am 85 years old, and I've had type 1 diabetes for 72 years. I've had a great life. I couldn't have had a better life with or without diabetes. It's been a fantastic life. I've lived and worked in many countries in the world. I've never allowed diabetes to stop me doing anything. Talking about the diabetes, when I got it, I started developing it when I was like 12 and a half, 13 years before I was 13 in December. I went into a coma by the following February of 14. Before that, it took about, I'm going to say it took about 6 months, slowly getting more thirsty. And of course, in England, very little was known about diabetes. That's the important thing. And so it got to about October, November, and my dad said, there's something wrong here. I better take him to the local family doctor. So he told him the story. Well, he's drinking a lot. He's having to go to the bathroom a lot. There must be something wrong here. And the doctor said, oh, yeah, there is. It's purely psychological. He said, that's the problem. It's purely psychological. Never forget that. So, okay, he'll get over it. He's a young, active boy. So off we went back home, and it slowly got worse and worse and worse. And of course, February of my 13th, I was 13, and in the February of 1940, 48, 48, was it 49? 49. So Mrs. Smith, the lady next door, said to my mum, I haven't seen Don in a long time. How's he doing? Well, she said, he's not doing too well. He's a bit sick at the moment. So as luck would have it, and I asked her, but she never knew why. She said, well, may I see him? So off up the stairs they went, and here I am lying in bed. And she took a look at my face, and she pulled the bedclothes back. And my mum said, and she saw a skeleton, just skin and bones. And so my mum said, oh, I think he's asleep. Well, Mrs. Smith poked me and said, no, I think he's unconscious. So she said, I think we better call 999, which is the English version of 911. So they did that, and they put me into Park Hospital. And there they, for 2 days, they told my dad, who was pretty teed off by that time with the local doctor, he said, well, he may or may not make it. Well, I did make it. So after 2 days, of course, they're pumping me full of insulin from the pigs' pancreases. That's how they were making which I survived on for quite a few years later. So anyway, out I came, and finally everything was working well. All my friends at work were saying, well, now you're married, you're buying a house, you really need to take a life insurance out. So I said, yeah, you're probably right. If you die, then somebody will take care of the mortgage and all that stuff. So I went to a very large insurance company in Britain. I better not tell you who they are. No names, no pacto. So anyway, I went in there, and they had me pee in a test tube, and the guy came back a few minutes later shaking it, and he said, do you know you've got diabetes? And I said, yeah, of course I know I've got diabetes. And I'm 22, right? And he said, well, we can't insure you. because you will not be alive by the time you're 40. You'll die before you're 40. I guess, so this is how little was known about diabetes in those days. I think the Holston Medical Group have done a fantastic job for me, introducing me to all these different pieces of equipment that, you know, if I had those today, I would hope to live to be 100. You know, that's the way it is, because in the beginning, of course, I had no real control other than the consistency of what happened for the first 30 years of my diabetes.
An amazing, inspiring story. I mean, listening to this, you know, you were given a death sentence a couple of times and you refused to accept it, which is pretty amazing. Yeah. You know, and obviously your own habits and your own fortitude helped a lot. But I wonder if you have something maybe to say to the clinical trial industry. I mean, if not for clinical trials, insulin would probably never have been developed, discovered, invented. And then all these advancements in your treatment over your great long life, you know, what you described decades ago, what you had to go through compared to what you do now to maintain a healthy lifestyle. So I wonder if you know, have anything you'd like to say to clinical trial practitioners, past, present, and even future.
If I could comment, because you've been affected so much, the discovery of insulin. I think we could sum up, where would you be without the discovery of insulin?
Oh, I'd be dead at 13 years old.
Yeah, and how many other millions of people would have been as well?
Yes.
Right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I do clinical research trials. I run the research trials here, and we think about all the wonderful advancements. And yet, as you can see from this example, Michael, the discoveries that are found in medicine are part of the story. They're such a key part of the story, and how the individual also puts their efforts into managing their disease. So type 1 diabetes is, yes, it's a disease that's managed by individuals physicians and whatnot, but it's also managed by the patient.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And so there's this partnership between the pharmaceutical industry, the physicians who prescribe the medications, and the individuals who take the medications and benefit of it. Don didn't just take insulin and rely on insulin to make his life better. He made his life better with insulin.
Well, it sounds like the clinical trial industry and insulin in this case gives the patient more of an opportunity to take charge of their own health. It gives you more options.
You have a lot of tools nowadays to do it with. So there's no question about that. Being
on the insulin pump, but basically to some extent, it's the closest thing we have to an artificial pancreas right now. Look at where he started, and now he has a Dexcom unit that connects through Bluetooth to his pump, right? And can warn him and make adjustments and those kinds of things. And he can, there's an amazing technology coming out now through these devices that are continue to be developed in the device industry with diabetics that help them to manage their disease much more easily. It makes the quality of life much better, and their longevity much better.
I want to thank you both for sharing this story. I mean, it's inspiring on so many levels for personal fortitude and habits, and taking charge of your own destiny as much as possible, you know, controlling what you can control and not worrying about what you can't. Obviously, the clinical trial industry has helped and has given some support and some tools, but it is up to you. I mean, the industry is giving you some more options, and that's exciting. But it's also nice too, just to hear the human story. We can sometimes get bogged down, understandably, in operations and details and the sort of clinical trials in the abstract, which is important to do because we need to conduct good clinical trials. But it's good to be reminded that this is all about patients and real individual people and improving lives, the quality of life and extending life. So it's just amazing to hear your story. I really want to thank you both.